तो आज हमारे साथ एक ऐसी शख्सियत है जिनके बारे में कहना जरा मुश्किल है, क्योंकि वे उस पीढ़ी से हैं जिस पीढ़ी ने भारत बनाने में बहुत बड़ा योगदान दिया। मैं देखता हूँ तो मुझे उस पीढ़ी के लोगों की याद आती है। Friends, it's very difficult for me today to introduce the person who belongs to that generation. He sacrificed, you may say, to a large extent his life and everything. And those who were responsible for our freedom. He reminds me of my own father. He reminds me of Khan Abdul Khan, a very simple man dedicated to his cause. And the cause is establishment of a peaceful and non-violent society. It's my pleasure actually to introduce you Maulana Wahiduddin Khan Sahib. He has come all the way from Delhi. He is in his 80s. Even then, at our invitation, he has come along with his daughter, his granddaughter. He actually had an invitation of the international conference at Pune, but he preferred to come to Wardha. We are fortunate that Wardha has got that fascination and that attraction. Maulana Wahiduddin Khan Sahib is a great scholar of not only Islam but of all other major religions. He has made a deep study of the common thread between all the religions. And he has got so many, about 200 books to his credit, which are written all around the theme of peace and non-violence and brotherhood and fraternity all over the world. He has read the Islamic literature in the original Arabic language, and then Arabic scriptures is translated into English, and later on those were translated into Hindi and other languages also. He is a regular contributor to several national and international dailies, monthlies, periodicals. Due to his extraordinary work and due to his personal qualities also, people have themselves honored by honoring him. He is a recipient of so many honors. I request Maulana Sahib kindly to start like this.
I can say that I am a born Gandhian in the sense of non-violent activity. You know, I was born in a family that was family of struggle, freedom struggle. My elder brother was a poet, Maulana Wahiduddin. Now he is no more. He said in one of his lines that गलत है ये कि फकत हिंदुओं का लीडर था, ये था तमाम जहां भर कर रहनुमा पाए. It means that it is wrong to say that the leader of Hindu community. In fact, Gandhi was the leader of all mankind. So I was born in this family. Gandhian views run in my blood, I can say, if I can say it true. So I think that Gandhi was a unique personality. Perhaps first in history he demonstrated that peace is not simply a passive attitude, rather it is a power. Peace is a power. There are some other people also who said that peace is a power. But Gandhi was the first, at least in recent history, that he demonstrated that peace is a power, spirituality is a power. And Gandhi was the rare blend of spirituality and peace. Here I can recall a very beautiful story of Gandhi's life. You know, our freedom struggle was started in 1857. At the time, it was a violent struggle, but there was no result. Then Gandhi appeared in 1919 and became the leader of the freedom struggle. So it was a very strange situation for British rulers because previously they had every justification to kill those people and were involved in freedom struggle because they were violent. One who uses gun, he gives you justification to use gun against him. So when Gandhi declared that now our freedom struggle is based on completely on peaceful method, we have abandoned all those violent methods and gun culture. So it was a very peculiar situation for British rulers. It is a story that one English magistrate sent a message to his secretariat that perhaps the wording was kindly wire instructions. Kindly wire. At that time there was no telephone, no email, only telegram was the medium of conveying any message. So he said in his message that kindly wire instructions how to kill a tiger non-violently. It means that people of freedom struggle were using arm. So we have this justification to kill them through violence and gun. But now we have no justification. How we can kill a man who is armless? He is coming peacefully. So he sent a message in these words: kindly wire instructions how to kill a tiger non-violently. Thus, Gandhi showed the power of peace, and I think it was a unique role of Gandhi. And in India, we have great Gandhi is our greatest asset. You know, in our world, everywhere there are violence, there are guns, there are bombs. Gandhi is the only hope. In the form of Gandhi, we can say that this is the way, this is the method. So Gandhi is our greatest asset. Now, let us come to the topic. I would like to begin the present topic with a saying. A thinker has said that only great minds can afford to a simple style. Only great minds can afford to simple style. I think that I can say that so in the case of spirituality. Only great men can afford to adopt a spiritual style of life. Spirituality means dedication, sacrifice. So, although it is simple, but also it is very difficult. So, spirituality is not simply a profession, it is not a rituals, it is a dedication, it is a sacrifice. According to my study, I can say that spirituality is the essence of all the religions, including Islam. You know, Jesus Christ has said, love your enemy. This is the crux of spirituality. Love your enemy means behave with your enemy as if he is your friend. So it is spirituality. If you can see your enemy with the eye of friend, then you are a spiritual person. This is the crux of spirituality. Then Swami Ram Tirath was a great son of India. He was also a spiritual person. He visited America before 100 years ago. At that time, you know, there were no Indians in America. Indians were strangers to American people. So what happened? When he traveled by ship, at that time there were no aviation services, no aeroplane. So he traveled by ship. And when he descended at the soil, at American soil, perhaps in Chicago, so one American saw him. He was very simple. No luggage, nothing, simply clad. So that American, when he saw him, he asked, "Do you have any friend in America?" That American asked to Swami Ram Tirath, "Do you have any American in friend in America?" Swami Ram Tirath said, "Yes." And that friend is here. And he embraced that American gentleman. And and he became permanently his friend. In America, he became his host, and this friendship continued up to the lifetime. So this was a spiritual behavior. When Swami Ramtirath said to a stranger, that you are my friend, and embraced him, although he was a stranger. So this was a spiritual gesture, a spiritual method. And it there was a miracle that person became his permanent friend. This is the power of spirituality. This is also the teaching of Islam. You know, there is a very relevant verse of the Quran. It says that ادفع بالتي هي أحسن لا تستوي الحسنة ولا السيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. It means that do good deed in return for bad deed. Do good deed in return for bad deed. And you will find that your enemy has become your dearest friend. This is the Quranic verse. So according to this, our enemy is our potential friend. What a revolutionary idea. Our enemy is our potential friend. So turn this potential to actual. Very simple formula. Very simple formula. Every enemy is your potential friend. So turn this potential to actual. This is a spiritual formula. Very simple, very easy. This is the Quran teaching. Those people who nowadays are engaged in violence in the name of jihad, they are not doing jihad. It is not jihad. Islam is a religion of peace, religion of spirituality. Here I can say that jihad with the sense of qatal is permitted only in defensive condition situation. In war is a prerogative of established state. No person or no organization other than the state are allowed to go to war in Islam. So all these activities in the name of jihad are unlawful, unjustified. Because you know all these activities are who are engaged in these activities. There are some individuals, some organizations, some NGOs. No state is involved, no Muslim state is involved in these activities. So it is unlawful. It is very clear in Islam. There is a provision that Ar-Rahilu lil-Imam. Ar-Rahilu lil-Imam means that to declare a war is a prerogative of an established ruler. No organization other than state is allowed to go to war. Ar-Rahilu lil-Imam. So all these activities are unlawful. Here also I would like to add that secret God is also unlawful in Islam. You know, there are some jihadi activities in which some states are secretly involved, which we call proxy war. At least some of them are proxy war. But it is also haram in Islam. There is no room for proxy war in Islam. It means that if you want to go to war, you have to declare that we are you are at war from this day. Without declaration, no war is allowed in Islam. So there is no secret war in Islam. And when there is no secret war, all these proxy wars are haram in Islam. It is very clear in Islamic teachings. So you have to differentiate between Muslims and Islam. You have to see Muslims in the light of Islamic teachings. If you want to know what is Islam, you have to see the scriptures of Islam rather than these Muslims. Muslims' behavior is not source of Islam. Only sacred books of Islam, like Quran and Hadith, are the only source of Islam. Now, the Persian word or Urdu word for spirituality is Ruhani. Ruhani is an equivalent word. What we call in English spirituality is called in Urdu and Persian Ruhani. All those Sufis were speaking in this term, in terms of Ruhani. But you know, word Ruhaniyan is not mentioned in the Quran. Ruhani is not a Quranic word. Although it is frequently used by Sufis, but it is not a Quranic word. Quranic word for this purpose is Ar-Rabbaniya. Kun Rabbani. So what we call spirituality is according to Islamic teaching. But Quran does not use word Ruhaniya or Sufism. Quran uses the word Rabbaniya or Rabbaniya. Rabbaniya is derived from Rabb, that is God. So Rabbaniya means God-oriented or God-based. So Rabbaniya means God-oriented thinking, God-oriented speech, God-oriented practice, God-oriented action, God-oriented behavior. This is spirituality of Islam. I greatly believe that spirituality is the essence of Islam. What I want to say here that spirituality or Ruhani are not Quranic word. Quranic word is Rabbaniya or Rabbaniya. A Rabbaniya is very meaningful word. Very meaningful word. Because here we can say the word itself is telling us what is spirituality in Islam. Islamic spirituality is God-based spirituality. I think it's very clear that Islamic spirituality is God-based spirituality. Our thinking, our action, our speaking, everything must be spiritual, must be God-oriented. Now, I would like to say that there are two different aspects of Islamic spirituality, or two different phases. One I can say pure spirituality, and the second I can say applied spirituality. Pure spirituality and applied spirituality. By pure spirituality, I means any spirituality in psychological sense. In psychological sense. And applied spirituality, by applied spirituality, I mean in practical spirituality, in practical sense. So when you think in terms of spirituality, when you change your mind, when you change your heart, when you change your thinking, that is pure spirituality. So pure spirituality means raising yourself from material world, which is called Zohd in Islam. Z-U-H-D, Zohd. Zohd means raising yourself from material world. Yani, in this world, every time you are involved in some worldly activities, and it is a must for our life, we are bound to involve us in these activities. So it is not haram in Islam to involve yourself in material activity. But according to Islam, you have to, at the same time, when you are engaged in worldly activities, at the same time, you have to remember God. Remembrance is very important in Islam. When you are in your job, when you are in your industry, business, when you are at your home, you have to remember God every time. Islam allows you to go to your worldly activities, but at the same time, Islam wants you to think about God every time. Every time. So it is a very beautiful line of a Sufi. It says, है दाद के काबिल मेरी तजरीद तसव्वुर, है दाद के काबिल मेरी तजरीद तसव्वुर, करता हूँ तुझे गैर की महफिल से जुदाया. Tajreed means detailed thinking. Detailed thinking. Meaning, when you are engaged in worldly activities, you have to detail yourself, you have to detail your mind. Bodily you are involved, but intellectually you are not involved. This is tajreed. हैदात के काबिल मेरी तजरीद तसव्वुर, करता हूँ तुझे गैर की महफिल से जुदाया. When I am engaged in worldly activity, when I am in market, I am at my home, I am industry, everywhere, but I am able to detach myself. So my tajreed is praiseworthy. My detached thinking is praiseworthy. Because although I live in this world, but at the same time I remember God. So this is the crux of spirituality in Islam. According to the Sufi word, हैदात के काबिल मेरी तजरीद तसव्वुर, करता हूँ तुझे गैर की महफिल से जुदाया. So We have to live a detached kind of life, detached kind of thinking. This is the crux of Islamic spirituality. And this is the pure, this you can say pure spirituality. Then applied spirituality. Applied spirituality means any spiritual behavior. The applied spirituality means any spiritual ethics, tolerance, peaceful living, being harmless to others, and justice. All these are ingredients of applied spirituality. Yani, when you're thinking, it is manifestation of your spiritual thinking. Applied spirituality means manifestation of your spiritual thinking in the affairs of in public affairs. This is applied spirituality. So when you are honest in your behavior, you are tolerant in your behavior, you adopt divine character, there is a very relevant hadith. تخلقوا بأخلاق الله. تخلقوا بأخلاق الله means adopt divine character. Adopt divine character. So when you adopt divine character in public affairs, in society, then you are a spiritual person. There is a hadith. Al-Muslimu man salama an-nasu min lisanihi wa yadihi. A Muslim is one by whose hands and tongue people are saved. It means that a true believer is a harmless person. A true believer is a peaceful member of society. A true believer is a tolerant person. A true believer is a compassionate person. I can say that Islamic behavior is a two-point formula. Any worshipper to God and well-wisher to all mankind. This is the crux of Islam. A believer is worshipper to his God and well-wisher to all mankind. This is the crux of Islamic teachings. Here I would like to tell you a story of the Prophet of Islam. It is also a beautiful spiritual story. You know, the Prophet of Islam was born in Makkah in 570 AD. He was appointed as prophet in 610 AD. At that time, born in Makkah. So he lived in Makkah up to after the prophethood of 13 years. Then he migrated to Medina, which we call Hijr. At that time, it was 622 AD. So at that time, there were some Jewish tribes in Medina. What happened? One day, the Prophet of Islam saw a funeral procession passing through a street in Medina. funeral procession. We call it janazah. So at that time, Prophet was seated on seeing that procession. He stood up in respect. So one of his companions said, "O Prophet, it was funeral of a Jew, funeral of a non-Muslim. It was not a funeral of a Muslim." So the Prophet replied, "Alaysat nafsan, alaysat nafsan." It means, was he not a human being? Was he not a human being? It means that the Prophet of Islam discovered a commonality between himself and that non-Muslim. It means that although our religion is different, although our culture is different, although our community is different, but at the same time, we both are human beings. We both are creation of God. This is the true spirituality. This is the true spirituality. On seeing that Jewish body, he said, "Alaysat nafsan," was he not a human being? Although we are different in some respect, but at the same time we are human beings. We both are creation of God. This is the true spirituality. The true spirit of Islam. Killing is not the spirit of Islam. Love is the spirit of Islam. Love, tolerance, passion. You know, the first verse of Islam is Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Then the first verse of the chapter Al-Fatiha, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Here you see that Quran introduces God as Rahim and Rahman, a source of compassion, source of mercy. And Prophet of Islam has said, "Takhallaqu bi-akhlaqillah." Adopt divine character. It means that God is merciful, so you have to be merciful. God is compassionate, so you have to be compassionate. This is the true spirit of Islam. The Prophet of Islam used to rise early in the morning, and after morning prayer, he used to say, "Allahumma ashhad anna al-ibada kulluhum ikhwa." Every day in the morning, Allahumma ashhad anna al-ibada kulluhum ikhwa. It means I bear witness. It means I bear witness that all human beings are sisters and brothers to each other. This is the prophetic vision. This is the prophetic way of thinking. All human beings are brothers and sisters to each other. Then, you know, Sufi is the expression of Islamic spirituality. Sufism is the expression of Islamic spirituality. Now, what is Sufi? What is Tasawwuf? One Sufi was asked, what is Tasawwuf? He said, Tasawwuf means Tasabkur. Tasabkur means contemplation. So Islamic spirituality is based on contemplation. And find established contact with God through contemplation, through tasawwur, through tazakkur, through tadabbur. It is very important. Very important. Here I would like to tell you a hadith. This hadith tells us gives us a very vivid picture of a spiritual person. The Prophet of Islam has said, وَعَلَى الْعَاقِلِ مَا لَمْ يَكُنْ مَغْلُوبًا عَلَى عَقْلِهِ أَن تَكُونَ لَهُ سَاعَاتٌ. وَعَلَى الْعَاقِلِ مَا لَمْ يَكُنْ مَغْلُوبًا عَلَى عَقْلِهِ أَن تَكُونَ لَهُ سَاعَاتٌ. سَاعَةٌ يناجي فيها ربه وساعة يحاسب فيها نفسه وساعة يتفكر فيها في سنن الله وساعة يخلو فيها لحاجته من المطاب والمشرق. This is the prophetic saying. The Prophet said that a wise man is one who has some moments, some spiritual moments. M-O-M-E-N-T. A wise man is one who has some spiritual moments. What are those spiritual moments? In this hadith, we find the four moments. Four moments. चार घड़ियां. First, Yunadi Rabbah. Whisper to God. Literally it means whisper to God. That is, when you are in communion with God, in communion of God, when you establish contact with God, then there is a whisper. You make dua. You present your feelings. You are engaged in conversation with God. Oh God, glory be to you. Oh God, I am your servant. Oh God, I want this, I want that. So this is conversation with God. This is munajat. The first moment is that you have to find some moments when you feel nearness to God, presence of God. When you live in presence of God, then there are some special kind of feelings in your heart, in your mind. That is munajat, that is conversation, that is whisper. In the first moment. And this is a moment when creator and creature both are in communion with each other. Then the second moment, that is introspection. Yasva nafsa means introspection. So the second moment is when you are engaged in introspection, studying yourself, thinking about yourself, finding your own fault, thinking about your duty, thinking about your responsibility. There is introspection, there is muhasaba, nafsa. So the second moment is when you are engaged in muhasaba, in introspection. It's very important. You can say that it is inner journey. If the first is outer journey, second is inner journey. Then the third one is يتفكر في حق الله. That moment when you are contemplating in the creature of God. يتفكر في حق الله. खुदा की कारीगरी में सोचना. You are engaged in the external world. You see flowers, you see trees, you see solar system, you see stars and planets, and then you find the glory of God. Who was the God who wrote these signs? This is how glory of God. One Sufi poet has said in this regard, बर्ग दरख्तान सब दर नजरे होशियार हर बरकते दफ्तरे मारफत इत्तिकार. The Persian line, a Persian Sufi says, बर्ग दरख्तान सब दर नजरे होशियार हर बरकते दफ्तरे मारफत इत्तिकार. It means that every leaf of a tree, a single leaf, is a great book of God. A single leaf, एक पत्ती, बर्ग दरख्तान सब दर नजरे होशियार. One who is wise, who can see the glory of God. So he finds that every leaf has great story of God. हर वर्ष के दफ्तरे मारफत इत्तिकार. In every, you can say that every leaf is a encyclopedia of God. Every leaf of a tree is like a great encyclopedia of God. This is يتفكر في حق الله. And the fourth moment is that when you are engaged in your livelihood to earn something for your life, there is a fourth item. The first item is nearness to God. Second item is introspection. Third is contemplation about God. And fourth is engage yourself in economic activities. Then about applied spirituality, Sufi people have said, Sulhekul. It is a Sufi formula. Sulhekul. Sulhekul means peace with all. Peace with all. So according to Sufi people, and Sufi people are those who are spiritual people, according to some people. So you know, most Sufi literature was written in Persian. Majority of Sufi literature was compiled in Persian. So this formula is Persian language. Should equal peace with all. We live in a society. So what is the formula of living in a society? That is should equal peace with all. With all means friend and foe both. The same formula which was given by Christ, love your enemy. The same formula was given by Sufi. Sulhul, peace with all. Once a Muslim came to the Prophet and asked, "O Prophet, give me a master formula to manage all the affairs of my life." The Prophet replied, La tahzab, La tahzab, don't be angry. La tahzab, don't be angry. This is a simple formula. La tahzab, don't be angry means live with sulh. The same formula is given in the Quran in these words. As-sulhu khair. As-sulhu khair means reconciliation is the best. As-sulhu khair. Reconciliation is the best. It means that at the time of controversy, you have to adopt conciliatory course of action rather than confrontational course of action. This is As-sulhu khair. It means there is no excuse for violence, no excuse of intolerance, no excuse of declaring that he is our enemy, he is our enemy. You have no right to declare that this or that person is your enemy. No right. Because Quran says, As-sulhu khair, reconciliation is the best. It means that if there is controversy, if there is enmity, if there is intolerance, you have to adopt course of sulh, conciliatory course. You are not allowed to go to reaction. You are not allowed to go to war. All these things are haram in Islam. As-sulhu khair, reconciliation is the best. It means that at the time of controversy, at the time of enmity, at the time of provocation, you have to keep positive thinking, positive behavior. Unilaterally, As-sulhu khair means you have to adopt unilaterally the path of peace. It is unilateralism. Bilateralism is not in Islam. Quran says that you have to adopt unilaterally path of peace, path of tolerance, path of love, path of compassion. This is Islam. All these things are very clear in Islam. There is no ambiguity. No ambiguity. You know, we are living in a society where every time there are some provocations, some kind of unpleasant situations, but we have to adopt positive behavior. Even in negative situations, we have to react positively. Even in a negative situation, we have to react positively. I think that positive thinking is the greatest. Positive thinking is the crux of spirituality, and positive thinking is the greatest teaching of Islam. Without positive thinking, there is no spirituality. Without positive thinking, there is no peace. Without positive thinking, there is no religion. Without positive thinking, there is no Islam. Without positive thinking, there is no Islam. So you have to, if you want to know what is Islam, you have to study Islamic scriptures. Muslims are not the source of Islam. Muslims claim to be followers of Islam, so you have to judge Muslims by the teaching of Islam, by the sacred books. Muslims themselves are not source of Islam. So all the teachings of Islam is based on positive thinking. According to my study, according to my experience. Positive thinking means keeping yourself unilaterally on positive values. Because every time there are provocative situations in our society is just like a rose plant. You see, every rose plant has some flowers, but at the same time some thorns. So, if you are a wise person, you will avoid thorns and you will take the rose. So, in the case of life, Islamic life, you have to ignore all those thorns and you have to take flowers. This is the Islamic behavior demonstrated in nature. Nature is also a demonstration of divine character. You know, in nature, in the universe, there is no negativity. No negativity. The whole universe, all the nature, every part of the nature is based on positivity. There is a hadith, إِن لَمْ تَنْفَعْهُ فَلَا تَضُرُّهُ. If you are not able to live as a useful person, so you have to live as a harmless person. If you are not in a position to do something to your society, to keep yourself Make yourself harmless. Save others from your harm. This is the Islamic spirituality, this is the Islamic behavior. According to, I have studied Islam through its original sources, through Quran and Hadith, and during my study, I found that this is the Islam. So, in the end, I would like to say that if you want to know what is Islam, don't form your opinion by simply saying Muslims. Muslims are not representative of Islam. They claim that we are following Islam. The source of Islam is sacred books. It's sacred books, that is Quran and Hadith. Thank you very much.
Negatively about Islam. Due to the conflict raised in our country, and then you clearly said that Islam is not a negative one. Everything is in positive manner. It's like what Christ said exactly. Your Islam's secrets also saying that peaceful life that every human has to live. Thank you very much for clarifying us and then you enlightened about the spirituality of Islam. Thank you very much.
As per Islam, the Muslim has a relationship with the word Da'i and Madhu. If their relation of Da'i and Madhu, why so much quarrel in the name of Islam, the whole world?
This is a very important question. All these quarrel and fighting is phenomena of deviation from Islam, not phenomena of following of Islam. You say, why they are quarreling, why they are fighting? For land, simply for land, not for Quran. These people don't want to convey the message of Quran. They simply want to regain their lands. That is not Islam. They are fighting for land, not fighting for Islam. Because if they were mujahid of Islam, they have to go to peaceful tawbah. Peaceful tawbah. Here I would like to give a brief relevant story. You know, the Prophet of Islam started his mission in Mecca, and there were so many atrocities, so many difficulties, so many enmities, and after 13 years of struggle, he migrated from Mecca to Medina. It is very important to know that when he reached Medina, he addressed Medina people. His speech is recorded in different books like Sirah Ibn Hisham. There is a heading, أول خطبة خطبها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في Medina. The first speech delivered by the Prophet in Medina. The whole speech, there is no reference about those atrocities, those sad experiences in Makkah. No reference, no mention. Prophet of Islam has simply said, Ayyuhan nas, ittaqun nar walau bishaqqa tamra. O people, save yourself from hell. O people, save yourself from hell, from wrath of God. There was no mention about all those atrocities happened in Makkah. So this was the prophetic vision. Now all these people are fighting for land. and you cannot mention any simple saying or speech of Prophet where you can say, where he said that we want this land, we want that. No. So all these fightings are Muslim fighting. It is not Islamic fighting.
Excuse me. In the Muslim countries, especially in Saudi Arabia and other things, I am relating my question to applied spirituality. In Muslim countries, they give rather rigorous punishments, like cutting the hands, head, and so on. And my question is, nowadays human rights are getting more prominent. How the Quran or the sacred scriptures says about this kind of punishments? I would like to know that.
Yes, it's a very interesting question. These punishments are not for the present society. No. Now they are not applicable. These same punishments are not applicable to the present society. First of all, you have to do the work. First of all, you have to change their minds. First of all, you have to change their morality. First of all, to change the social relationship. First of all, you have to change social conditions. A general phenomenon. Crime is not a rare phenomenon. So all these punishments are pertain to those societies where crime is a rare phenomenon, not a society where crime is a general phenomenon. So, as far as the present society is concerned, we are not allowed to punish people, but we have to do dawah. We have to persuade these people to change their mind. We have to re-engineer their mind. These are actual duty towards towards the present society, not punishment. You know, that's applicable for the present society.
Maulana sir, you were right that we should not take Muslims into our consideration. We should take Quran, an authentic book. But whose interpretation we should take? There is different interpretations. So, what interpretation we should take?
Yes, there are different interpretations. Now, it is not a problem because in every book, even in the Constitution of India, in Gita, in Bible, everywhere there are differences in interpretation. So, if you are a seeker, you have to find out the true interpretation. Text is one. That's enough. If text is one, there is enough. Interpretations are different because difference is part of nature. You have to see that difference is not part of scriptures. Difference is part of human nature. So everywhere there are differences. In your home, your society, in market, in industry, everywhere there are differences. So difference is not a part of scriptures, difference is a part of nature. There is no escape from difference. So if you are a seeker, we have to see the scriptures. That is enough for us.
Sir, I remember that during a journey, Mr. Arun Shori was with you, and he realized before you that for
controlling the present graph of crime, it is necessary to adopt the Islamic system of punishment.
Yes, he said like this. By Islamic system, he meant that severe kind of punishment.
Yes. Yes.
Different kind of punishment. Word of Islam was symbolic in the conversation. He said that without different punishment, we cannot control all these crimes.
Yes.
This was his issue. It means Islamic kind of punishment. Islamic kind of punishment. That is different punishment.
So I have a question. Like Catholic Church has a leader, like Pope. Do you have any leader for Islam to lead the people, Muslims? Do you have any particular leader?
I don't think there is a single leader in Christendom. Single leader of the whole community is not possible. So I cannot say that there is a single person who leads the whole Muslim community. But the leaders, every Imam of mosque is leader. You know, in congregation prayer in mosque, there is the Imam. Imam means leader. So in every society there is Imam. In every society there is a leader. And the Imam of Hajj is leader of the whole community. But it doesn't mean that there is no difference. I will repeat that difference is part of nature. So even though there are Imam, but it doesn't mean that there is no difference. In every community, in Hinduism, in Jainism, in Buddhism, in Christianity, everywhere there are differences. A difference is not a problem. If there were no difference, there was no dialogue. Difference creates dialogue. A dialogue and interaction. That is very good for society, for intellectual development. I always see difference in terms of intellectual development. Where there is no difference, there is no intellectual development. Difference leads to dialogue, and dialogue leads to intellectual development. This is my experience.